Thank you, David. As always, a splendid introduction. And thanks all for coming here today, ahead of a huge fight on Saturday, live on DAZN. Of course, the 140-pound unification matchup between WBO world champion Maurice Hooker and WBC champion Jose Ramirez. This fight, of course, groundbreaking in itself. Of course, the inter-promotional companies of Matchroom and Top Rank, and we'd like to particularly welcome Mr. Bob Arum here today. As David said, it's all or nothing. Both guys go into this contest with their belts, hoping to unify the division before we see another unification matchup between Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor in on DAZN later this fall. Talking of DAZN, what a revelation it's been. Another huge matchup from a great schedule since its launch last year with Alexander Povetkin taking on Anthony Joshua. We've had an amazing first 8 or 9 months. Of course, the Joshua Ruiz fight, the Canelo Jacobs fight, Demetrius Andrade recently, Maurice Hooker, all these great fighters, Danny Jacobs, and Tevin Farmer, of course, who's been a revelation since he signed with Matchroom. The most active world champion, unquestionably, in boxing, takes on his mandatory challenger, Guillaume Frenoir from France, on this card as well. This next fight is a fascinating fight. Again, Tevin Farmer, for me, has been a revolution and a revelation as well in the 130-pound division. The story behind this young man is inspirational. The smile always lights up the place, and I just love watching him do his thing. He's been, as I said, by far the most active world champion. For me, he's the dark horse in the 130-pound division right now. I believe he can beat all these guys. He's probably his biggest rival fighting on the same night as well on another smaller platform somewhere. And I think that this is a really great opportunity for Tevin Farmer to start calling this fight out, because again, for me, I believe he is the main guy in the 130-pound division right now. And it is a joy to represent him, particularly from not just where he come from, but where he came from in boxing. You know, thrown in the deep end early on, suffered his losses, came back. If anyone would have said after his 9 fights or whatever it was that he would be in this position today, in a position of, you know, the most active world champion in world boxing and one of the key players in the 130-pound division, I don't think anybody would have even dreamed that he would have achieved this. In his opposite corner in Frenoir, a guy that we have seen over on our shores in the UK, brilliant fighter. He fought one of the fights of the year against John O'Carroll, which ended in a draw. I know that Frenoir and his team believed they won that fight. Many people did. We saw John O'Carroll have a great fight with Tevin Farmer. But without doubt, Tevin Farmer must not overlook Frenoir. This is a very tough test. And I know that Frenoir's team and Mehdi and everybody are here to win this fight. The mandatory challenger for the 130-pound IBF world title, Guillaume Frenoir.
Bonjour tout le monde, merci à Guillaume de m'accueillir ici. Ça fait longtemps que j'attends ce combat-là, après ma victoire contre Carole. Donc maintenant on y est et voilà, je suis motivé à chercher la victoire.
Since my one over John O'Carroll last winter in England was waiting this opportunity. Thank you, Eddie, to make it happen. I'm ready like never before. And I really want to come back to France with the belt.
Thank you, Guillaume and team. Let's bring him up, one of the brightest characters out there in the game right now, one of the top fighters, as I said, in the 130-pound division. Ladies and gentlemen, the current reigning IBF, actually was Alex, we're going to come up and say a few words? Come on, don't be shy. Mr. DeBella will be in town later on tonight. Before we introduce Tevin Farmer, someone who is very integral to this deal going through, speaking on behalf of the great Lou DeBella. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex from DeBella Entertainment.
I did dress for the occasion, so thank you, Eddie. Real quick, I just want to thank Matchroom for their partnership over the course of the last year with Tevin Farmer. You know, it's through this partnership that he has been the most active fighter in boxing. It was just a year ago that Tevin and I were in Australia when he was winning the championship. And to think that he's defended the title, this will be his 4th title defense. It's been truly remarkable. It speaks to the prowess of DAZN as a platform, of Matchroom as a partner, and their commitment to helping us raise the profile of Tevin and turn him into the superstar that we believe that his personality dictates he will be and his talent dictates he will be. That's all I've got. I'm not Lou, so I won't speak for 20 minutes. I just want to, again, thank everyone and bring up the American Idol Tevin Farmer.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out today. I want to thank my team, Team Farmer. I want to thank Lou DeBella, Eddie Hearn, The Zone, and everybody that's involved with making me become the superstar I am. I had an amazing training camp, and I know a lot of fighters say this, but this has probably been one of my best training camps. 8 weeks of hard work, no cheating, no training six days a week, 3 times a day. I brought on a new strength coach. It's just been amazing, man. I'm feeling very, very, very good. And I think this will be my best performance. As y'all can see, I'm skinny as hell because I'm making weight, but I'm not dried out. My mouth's not dry. I can still drink water, so, you know, I haven't felt like this in a very long time. And I feel like I rededicated myself. I feel like I've always been dedicated, but I feel like the few months I had off after John Carroll fight, I feel very, very motivated again. And I feel like I want to take this thing to a new level. And on Saturday on The Zone, y'all will see Tevin Farmer take it to a new level. And hopefully, a fight or two from now, when I get the bigger fights, they can mention me in top 10 pound for pound. I want the big fights. I want the Gervonta Davis. I want the Jojo Diaz's. I want all those fights. And they big fights because I'm in them too, you know. It's not just because it's them, it's because I'm in them too. So hopefully after this win, God's willing, on Saturday, if I can't get a unification fight, I already told Jojo Diaz, I want him next. So if not, give me a unification, but Jojo Diaz, you next, buddy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tevin. We move on to this mouth-watering main event, which really is just a fight that I'm so excited about. Of course, we want to thank the Top Rank team for helping us to make this fight. I think it's great in today's day and age that 2 different promoters, 2 different promotional platforms are making fights like this. 5 weeks on Saturday, you see Vasily Lomachenko defending his world titles against Luke Campbell on our show in London, another fight made between Top Rank and Matchroom. And I think it's great to see the way forward for fans to see promoters making these fights. One thing that I love about this fight is the need and the will and the want to win. Not just from the fighters, but from the teams as well. I mean, you've got some great people involved in these teams. You know, you've got Arnie, you've got Vince, you've got Bob, you've got Robert Garcia, one of the best trainers in the world. You've got Rick Mirrigan, who is somewhere around here. We're going to bring him up shortly. He's crazy. I mean, there you are, Rick. I mean, Rick, this guy, I've been watching him on social media. He's just been telling us Ramirez wins in 6. This is going to be a brutal knockout from Ramirez. We see this fight very differently from this side. And it's so great as a promoter to go into a fight with no needle, just pure competition and will to win. Because I have to be honest with you, I am desperate to see Maurice Hooker win this fight on Saturday night. Because 1, I think he's a great man and a great fighter. 2, because I love his team of people. And this is why it's called All or Nothing. Because they go in with the world championships, they leave with nothing, or they leave as the unified world champion. And I'm so up for this fight. We went to Oklahoma to see Maurice Hooker fight Saucedo on a Top Rank show. It was one of the great nights so far that I've experienced in this game. And Maurice Hooker is a great underdog, but on Saturday he gets the chance to become a star. He comes to Dallas, back home, where he gets a chance for really to create history and legacy in the sport of boxing. Let's bring up some of those teams now. One of the gentlemen I was talking about from the Jose Ramirez team, ladies and gentlemen, he's manager Rick Mirrigan.
Fights like this are very hard to make in the sport. You guys know that. After Ramirez's last fight, he had one wish and one wish only. I want to fight the best. I don't want to fight anybody else but Maurice Hooker, because the other guys were tied up in the tournament, you know, taking place still. And I got to thank Eddie. He's held true to his word, trying to make the biggest fights in the sport. And helped me get the ball rolling to get this fight done. I want to thank Top Rank and Mr. Aaron behind me for navigating through some very complex network situations in order to bring this thing to fruition. And it's also given birth to, I think, a number of other fights that we're going to see in the future. So this fight all the way around is, already producing. I want to thank Matchroom's staff. They've been first class the entire time. We travel all over the world, and from drop off to pick up at the hotel, Brittany, Kevin, Sean, his entire team, absolutely amazing. So thank you guys for that. And it's been interesting. After that Texas show that Eddie was talking about, we ran into Maurice Hooker's family. Jose and I just walking behind the arena. Mo was nowhere to be found, but we actually spent like 15 minutes just talking with them, trading jabs and that kind of stuff. And very competitive and fun, but these are two very respectful, humble fighters. They represent the sport the way it should be represented. And we take our jabs at each other, here and there, but these two guys are ambassadors, I think, for the sport as a whole. And I am confident Ramirez is gonna win, no question. So confident that I'm gonna bet Mo Hooker's Uncle T 3 Whataburgers, because anybody that eats those is gonna die in a month anyway. Those are the nastiest hamburgers, Texas, I've ever seen in my life. So I guarantee you I will not be eating Whataburgers after the fight, Eddie. But thank you, everybody. I think Saturday night, a new era of boxing starts with this fight.
I want to thank everybody for being here. Look, there's not much to say. We're in great shape. We know Hooker's team did a great job also. He's a very respectful man. And
we're in great shape. We're just trying to give the fans a great fight. Hopefully today's pretty packed, sold out, so they're going to enjoy a great end of boxing. That's all I got to say. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Robert. That wasn't tactical, by the way. Sorry. On the other side, a trainer not quite with the profile of Robert Garcia, but certainly with the same ability and skill. A guy who is completely dedicated and focused to the progression of his fighter in Maurice Hooker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome up Vince Parrott.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom USA. You're changing the game. It's a new generation, it's a new time in boxing, and I think Eddie and his group are spearheading it, and I'm really happy to be a part of that. Dino Duva and Rock Nation, who's been with us forever. Our team, Maurice. I've been with Maurice now for about 6 years, and there was a time I had worked with this company as well with another fighter, and I had some success and then a real bad downfall. And a lot of people didn't believe in me as a trainer, and I ran into a kid that a lot of people didn't believe in him as a fighter. And one guy brought us together, and that's Arnie Verbeek. And Arnie believed in us both when everybody said he was crazy, and he's pushed me to a level and pushed Maurice to a level that we knew we could be at, but we needed someone like that. With the persistence and the passion for boxing that I have, and Maurice as well. And so I'll forever be thankful for Arnie for that. So thank you very much, Arnie. My team, we are small. I think I just brought Eddie Rowe in, who I've known for 14 years, but before that there was no one. We were in England in the ring. It was me, Maurice, and Arnie. And we look over and there's a guy with 6 people, and but it's always just been us, and at the end of the day, it's just Maurice in the ring with his opponent. That being said, we came up very, very hard. We've had ups and downs, and he's developed it, far beyond even that I would have thought. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a tremendous father. He's just a great guy. He's like my brother, and we had a long, great camp like we always do, and I'm just, I'm glad to be back here in Dallas, but just being back here ain't good enough. We set out a long time ago to dominate the sport, whichever way we can. We started in England, we defended in Oklahoma, we defended in New York. We're back here, but it really wouldn't have made a difference where it really was. We're very thankful to Top Rank and Ramirez's team. They're first class. They're first class. Robert Garcia is a tremendous trainer. I look forward to going up against him as well.
just like I did with Abel in the Salcedo fight. It's a tribute to Bob and them and Eddie to make this fight happen. This is the biggest fight of the year in my eyes. My guy's ready. I know their guy's ready. And I know Robert can attest to this. When you do all the work you can do and you get these guys here, it's up to them to do the job. This is a great fight. I honestly feel like my guy's just a little bit too much for him. And, you know, we're going to have to show that. He's going to have to show that come Saturday night. And I think it's going to be a great fight, a great event. I'm very thankful for Dallas. I'm thankful for the city of Dallas for getting behind Maurice. The city of San Diego, California, who has a bunch of fans coming in from Maurice as well. He's made that his second home. So we're ready, and we're excited, and we're looking forward to be a unified champion. So thank you very much, and enjoy the show.
Look, we in boxing have a great opportunity to reach out to the public and talk about issues which are really important. And I'm really, really proud that Top Rank and myself issued a statement about removing the corrupt governor of Puerto Rico, and we were joined by Tito Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, and other eminent Puerto Rican fighters, and we learned today that the governor has resigned, and hopefully Puerto Rico will build to the place where they belong. And I remember in November I came down here, we were doing a fight in El Paso, and instead of promoting the fight, I spent all my time advocating for Beto O'Rourke. Now, we did great in El Paso. We lost slightly in the rest of the state, but it was a great opportunity to use boxing as a political platform. And if you ask me, I've always been concerned about politics, but if you ask me where I learned about using activism as part of boxing, I learned it from my friends in the Central Valley of California, like Jose, like Manuel there. They had an organization called the Latino Water Coalition, because, I don't know if you know this, but the Central Valley produces all the pistachios that you eat, all the almonds that you eat, the greatest fruits, including donut melons, and I mean, it is really the bread basket, the fruit basket, the nut basket of the United States and of the world. Hard-working, dedicated people. And the Latino Water Coalition was advocating the use of more of the water in California because there was a terrible drought that lasted 6 or 7 years. And they were pointing out that water was coming down from the river and going into the ocean because some conservationists wanted to save something called the Delta smelt that nobody had ever seen. And it was that bad. And while advocating for the Water Coalition, what happened was the greatest rainstorm and floods that lasted months that alleviated the water problem, but created a different problem, and that was how do you protect against the next drought? And so the Latino Water Coalition, with the help of Jose, with Manuel, were able to convince the California government to erect a tremendous dam so that, remember, it goes back to Pharaoh. Joseph, in the times of plenty, said save the crops so that in the times of drought, you then had enough to feed the people. Same principle. And about Jose, Jose comes from a family that came over to the United States undocumented. They worked in the fields. Do you know how hard it is to work in the fields, picking the crops, picking the fruit? It is brutal, brutal work, and most people cannot do it. Now, they worked in the fields, And Jose, as a young man, worked in those fields. And believe me, nothing in life is going to be tougher than that. And thank God for America, he came through. He was an amateur fighter, a member of the United States Olympic team, and he eventually won a world champion. And everybody in the Central Valley is behind him because he is one of them. And now, Eddie, I want to help you sell some tickets for the fight Saturday. So I want Robert Garcia to come up and you can translate for me. To my Hispanic friends, and there are plenty of you in this area, my Mexican-American friends, Jose Ramirez is one of you.
Para todos los latinos, mexicanos aquí en Texas, José Ramírez es uno de ustedes.
And I want you all out here on Saturday night cheering for your brother who will go on to please you and make you all proud.
Quiero que todos estén aquí apoyándolo el sábado porque es uno de ustedes y los va a hacer muy orgullosos.
Muchas gracias. And now I'd like to bring up the WBC 140-pound champion, a young man who we are all proud of. Those of us who live in the Central Valley, those of us who have followed his career, a true American story. This is what America is all about. Please welcome the 140-pound WBC champion of the world, Jose Ramirez.
Thank you, Bob. First and foremost, I want to thank God for blessing me with this opportunity. I also want to thank my promotional company, Top Ring, Bob Aaron, my team, Rick Meridian, Manuel, Robert Garcia, my strength and conditioning coach, Charles Tremblay, who's always done a great job getting myself ready. The media for coming down here and paying notice to the importance of this fight, to the magnitude of the fight. So thank you to the media for being here today. To all the people here in Texas, I'm looking forward to showing my skills in front of you guys. It's a new crowd. That's part of being a superstar. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm very delightful and motivated and excited to go out there and showcase the skills of Jose Ramirez to the max. You know, it's been a great training camp. I feel very motivated. This is something that I dreamed of once I became a world champion, is to go after all the rest of the champions. And Maurice was the only one available. And in order for that fight to happen, I had to come to his backyard, but that wasn't going to stop me. You know, I had a goal and a purpose, and that's to become the undisputed champion of the world at 140 pounds, in the 140 pound division. So I'm here now, and I'm looking forward to using this opportunity the best I can and enjoying the moment and making everybody proud. Those that supported me in my career, those that continue to support me, those from California, everyone in the nation that supports me. I want to continue making you guys proud. I will go out there, I will fight hard, and they know I'll be ready. My team knows I'm ready, and I know that I'm ready. I have a lot of faith in myself. I'm a person of faith. You know, when I went to the Olympics, it was in 2012. When I became the WBC, it was a 2000 title fight. Now this is the 12th unification fight in the 140 pound division. It's just the numbers, it's you know, it's like faith. You know, it's like 2012. You know, and I'm looking forward to it. I know I will be coming out of the ring with a huge smile on Saturday night. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Bob. Again, clearly very proud of their fighter, and so are we. Maurice Hooker, having only dealt with him for a couple of fights, we've got to know him very well. And this is a guy who I feel is one of the most underrated fighters in world boxing right now. He has a will to win. Seeing what he did to Saucedo in his backyard in Oklahoma, seeing what he did against Terry Flanagan in Manchester. This guy is relentless. They call him the Road Warrior, but on Saturday night he comes home to make history and become the undisputed light welterweight champion of the world. To introduce Maurice Hooker, again, someone we've been working very close with, another guy who has Maurice's best interests at heart, another guy that will be pumping his fists on Saturday night on this side because of the will to win of this team. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Dino Duva.
Thank you, Eddie. You know, I just want to say something. My old friend Bob Arum, he's an all-time great promoter. We all know that. But I actually think Bob has another calling someday. I want to see him get in the Democratic field to run against Donald Trump for president.
I'll back somebody, but I ain't running.
Look, this fight needs no hype. It's as great a classic matchup as you can get in boxing. You know, I want to really say congratulations to everybody who helped make this fight. It's what boxing needs. You have Jose-Ramirez in Top Rank, one of their stars on ESPN. They were willing to make the deal with Eddie and DAZN to come over to DAZN because they wanted to make the best fight. And everybody deserves congratulations on that. DAZN and Eddie deserve congratulations for being able to write the check to make that happen. And this is what the fans need. This is what boxing needs. No bullshit of the networks getting in the way of great fights. And I hope this continues in the future. You know, Bob was talking about how Jose came up in a very rough childhood, working in the field, and I have great respect for that, I really do. But I want to tell you something about Maurice Hooker, how he came up. He came up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the country, right in this area, Oak Cliff, Dallas. And if you think that's any tougher than, or any easier than working in the field in California, you don't know what that neighborhood's about. Both of these kids deserve credit. They're at the top of their game right now. Maurice came up in as rough an area as anybody possibly could. And his whole team, everybody has worked so hard to get here. I'm proud to be associated with him. You're going to see a great fight Saturday night on DAZN. I want to bring him up right now, the WBO champion of the world at junior welterweight, Maurice Mighty Mo Hooker.
I'd like to give a special thanks to Eddie Hearn, Matchmaking Room, Rock Nation, my man Under B, my coach Vince and Eddie, the freaking athletes, Miss Stacy. Thank everybody for helping me out. But this fight means everything for me to me. I hope Jose is ready. I don't do too much talking, and I will be the champion. And I don't want to bet no Whataburger. Let's get something else. Let's bet breakfast in the morning after the fight with my bills.
You gotta get up early.
I will with my bills. But I'm pumped up about this fight. I'm happy at home in Dallas. I know Jose is a good fighter. He come to fight. He got a good coach, and I'm ready to prepare. Had a good training camp, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go 1 round. I'm ready to go 2 rounds. I'm ready to go 12 if I had to. But the way Jose fight, I think I'm gonna be in early, because he'll run right to my right hand. And thank everybody for coming. And thank everybody, man, because this is gonna be a hell of a fight. Thank you, Jose, for taking this fight.